Shalom, thank you guys for coming once again to our weekly Bible study of the Dead Sea Scrolls, Scriptures. We are continuing our study of the Book of Enoch, and we're going to try to be studying chapters 24 to 36 today. Before we start, I just want to make it clear to people that I found a better way to do this. Earlier, what I was doing was I was reading very awkwardly. I was changing my tone to try to indicate passages from the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Instead, I'm just going to be sharing my screen to show you guys, so I don't have to do silly tones anymore, and I don't have to, when I'm doing long pauses, you'll be able to see the text that I'm looking at, because I have the files online and also in book form. The previous weeks that we were doing this, I was reading in the books, but this time I'm going to be reading it online and doing a share of screen, so it should be much better this time. So with that said, let's have Sean. Are you okay with reading?
Sure. I have the R.H. Charles version.
All right, that's what I have as well.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm trying to see how much we should read here. For the first, okay, the 6 verses, the 7, 13, 19. We're going to read from 24 to, let's say, to probably, hold on. Okay, 24 to 27, I guess. What we'll do.
Just let me know when you want me to start.
All right.
And when you want me to stop. Do you want me to stop after each chapter?
No, just read right through all the way from 24 to 27, and you can start. Let's see. All right, let's have you start now.
Okay. Are we going to be stopping at 27 or all the way through 27?
Through 27.
Okay. Chapter 24, Enoch. And from thence I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all different each from the other. And the stones thereof were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. 3 towards the east, 1 founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, 1 upon the other, and deep rough ravines, no one of which joined with any other. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And amongst them was a tree such as I had never yet smelled, neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms, and would wither not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves and fair, and its blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels who was with me, and was their leader. Chapter 25.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Basically, I want to make sure that my audio sounds okay. How does it sound, you guys? Laura, Sean, does my audio sound okay, or is it choppy? Okay, it's fine.
How is my audio? Because I have an overhead ceiling fan going right now. I can turn it off.
It sounds fine, but if you want, you can try to turn it off and see if that helps. Or... Okay, that's probably going to be better. The reason I stopped you there is because the other week I was talking in the beginning, and people said they had a hard time hearing me because of the. You can change which type of microphone you use, and some of the microphone options are not as good quality sound as others. So I wanted to make sure. Uh,
Okay.
okay, you can start again.
Okay, chapter 25. And he said unto me, Enoch, why dost thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree? And why dost thou wish to learn the truth? Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever. It shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad. And into the holy place shall they enter, and its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as thy fathers lived. And in their days shall no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then blessed I, the God of glory, the eternal King, who hath prepared such things for the righteous, and hath created them, and promised to give to them. Chapter 26. And I went from thence to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place, in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming, of a dismembered tree. And there I saw a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream that flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountain, and to the west thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former and of small elevation, a ravine deep and dry between them, and another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the three mountains. And all the ravines were deep, ran narrow, being formed of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravine. Yea, I marveled very much. Chapter 27. Then said I, For what object is this blessed land, for which entirely filled with trees, in this accursed valley between? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels, was with me, answered he, and said, This accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together, who utter their lips against the Lord, unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. Here shall they be gathered together, and shall be their place of judgment. In the last days there shall be upon them the spectacle of righteous judgment, in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. In the days of judgment over the former they shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them a lot. Then I blessed the Lord and the Lord of glory, and set forth his glory, and lauded him gloriously.
Good. Laura, were you able to hear Sean reading okay? Was his audio all right? Hopefully it was. Let's see. Yeah, okay, good. Yep. So, can you show me what book you're reading from? You said it was R.H. Charles, but can I see what the cover looks like?
This is actually something I downloaded from the internet, and I took it to a graphic shop and had it printed out and had it put into a bind.
Okay, can you
So,
show me the page you were on?
okay,
And can you show me the bottom of the page?
1 second. The bottom is the last of chapter 27.
Okay, so yours does not have any footnotes?
No.
Okay, so now let us uh, let us go through. Um, we're going to go through these chapters and discuss them, but I'm going to be showing you guys some interesting things. But before I do that, hold on just 1 second. I'm just going to mute my phone, or not my phone, my side, and just make sure everything's okay, and then I'll be right back. All right. Before I start doing my what I have to say, do any of you hold on? Do any of you have That's my phone alarm. I never turn that off. So dumb. Okay. It's like I'm repeating the same mistakes over and over again. I have that alarm set for around this time for some reason. I set it a while back and I never have turned it off. But anyways, so what do you have any? Do you guys have any thoughts about the passages we read? Those chapters. I want you guys to have a chance to share your insights before I share mine.
Uh, I do, if I could share some thoughts about chapter 24. I actually saw a video of this where someone tried to decipher the first part of it, where he's talking about the 7 magnificent mountains, beautiful stones and their appearance. Um, Someone compared this to be the actual planets in our galaxy that he saw, because the appearance of them each described, I didn't see the appearance here in this chapter, but there's another section that describes their resemblance, and it sounds like he's looking at planets, and he calls them mountains. So I don't know if you've heard of that as well or seen that video.
I haven't seen that video. I'm not familiar with that idea. I would be kind of skeptical of that idea because it seems like the context here is Enoch's being shown the things on this earth. That's what it reads like to me. Something interesting, though, just so you know, is it actually mentions the 7 other mountains. We read last week, and there were some other mountains mentioned. Let me see here. I'm gonna start sharing my screen now. Also, do you have any other insights too?
Yeah, well, then it goes on to talk about the tree that the elect will be given. This sounds like the tree of life that was taken away from Adam in the garden,
Yep.
and sounds like that it will be in mankind's possession once again. It doesn't name it here as the tree of life, but that's what it sounds like it's talking about to me.
Yeah. Now here, I'll show you. You can see the screen share.
Yes, I can.
All right. So we've got here the 7 mountains, but this is all the way back in chapter 18, and
Right.
he's got right here verse 6 of chapter 18, where he says, "I proceeded and saw a place which." He says, "I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above, and I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south." And then it says, "Beyond these mountains is a region, the end of the great earth."
You skipped the part I was talking about. Verse 7, under the subtopic, the seven mountains. It says, and as for those towards the east, one was of colored stone, and one was of pearl, and one was jacinth, and those toward the south of red stone. All these are colors and appearances of planets, and it goes on to say alabaster, which is also an appearance, and there's another one of sapphire, and I saw one of flaming fire. It's a pretty interesting video that I saw about that. I'll see if I can send it to you.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's other passages too, because I think there's other passages that mention the mountains. Let me see here. Like right here. In chapter 52, we've got he's carried off in a whirlwind. They borne me towards the west. There mine eyes saw all the secret things of heaven that shall be. A mountain of iron, a mountain of copper, and a mountain of silver, and a mountain of gold, and a mountain of soft metal, and a mountain of lead. And then it talks about how these mountains shall, in the presence of the elect one, be as wax before the fire, and like the water which streams down from above upon those mountains, and they shall become powerless before his feet. This corresponds with other passages in the Old Testament which speak of when the Messiah comes, the mountains will melt.
Yes, probably Daniel 2 is what you're talking about there, where there will be the kingdoms, the breastplate of gold, and I forgot what it is. But there's an image that Daniel saw, and each kingdom is made of a special metal. And then when in Daniel 2:44 it says that all those kingdoms will be crushed and put away. I don't know if that correlates to that. If that's what you're talking about.
Let me see here. Mountain. Oops. I always like to use Blue Letter Bible. I find it a pretty good resource. Let's see, 24. Okay, good. 24 verses. So we've got. Yeah, so right here, Micah, for instance, and the mountains shall be molten under him, and the valleys shall be cleft as wax before the fire, as the waters poured down a steep place. Let's see. Micah 1:4. I'm gonna check Bible Hub as well. That's also a good resource. Let's see. While I'm searching that, but so I guess from my reading, it reads like the mountains are on earth that are going to burn, and it's possible that these mountains are all the same. Like, okay, so here, chapter 77 of the Book of Enoch. He says, and he's talking about the earth. So he's being shown the things of the earth. He's shown the portals of the winds, for example. Then it says, and the first quarter is called the east because it is the first, and the second the south because the Most High will descend there. Yea, there in quite a special sense will he who is blessed forever descend. And the west quarter is named the diminished because there all the luminaries of the heaven wane and go down. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into three parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abysses and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth. And thence come forth hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them coming from the west pours into waters into the great sea, and these 2 come from the north to the sea, and pour their waters into the Erythraean Sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own seas, 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 into the Great Sea, and discharge themselves there, and some say, into the desert. This might be a scribe error, like not an error, a scribe addition. And some say, that doesn't make sense for Enoch to say that, but it's possible it's a false translation. And it says 7 great islands I saw in the in the sea and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland and 5 in the Great Sea. But I guess it's possible when he says, and some say, maybe it's a prophecy and says some will say, but it seems unlikely. It seems more likely to be a scribal issue.
Before
So,
you,
what were you going to say?
if you could scroll back up there to 77,
Sure.
I just want to point something out. Maybe I caught this. I don't know how your interpretation of this would be, but when you look at our calendar on paper, it's divided into four quarters. And he's talking about here first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. I think he's talking about of each season here. The first quarter is from spring to the second quarter, and then the second quarter to the third, etc. So he's saying here, I don't know if you caught this, in the fourth quarter, let me catch this. Oh, and the second, the south, because the Most High will descend there. In quite a special sense, he who is blessed forever descend. I interpreted this as saying the time frame of the year when the Lord will come back. He says in the second, the Lord will descend there. Did you catch that?
I see that, but it sounds to me like let me see here, quarter. Let's see here. So basically, he shows that the first part, like, let's see here.
Yeah, he's talking about the portholes and the seasons and all that. He's dividing the year up.
So in 72, he divides the horizon. He divides the horizon and talks about how the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So you see the east, all these mentions of east, and also the mentions of west.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moon also in the east. Then it talks about the, let's see, in the east. Then we got here, the portals of the winds. Okay, so basically, what Enoch is trying to tell us is how to use the horizon, north, south, east, and west, the points of the earth, to figure out the things of the earth. He gave us the year, so the solar year. He gave us the lunar year, and now Enoch also is giving us how to do weather. He's telling us how to predict weather. And what he tells us here is he's basically trying to divide everything into the north, south, east, and west and give a full explanation of things about that. And part of what he's saying here is the winds. He's telling us from the different places on Earth, from the direction the wind comes. That's going to tell you the weather that's going to happen. So you see, he says 3 of them are. It says, at the end of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven, from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of the heaven, and 3 on the left. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3 after those on the left of the south, and 3 of the west. Now it talks about here, it says, through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water and on the land. So basically, I don't have this right now, but I drew a diagram, a circle,
Hmm.
once, and I divided it into uh, three sections for each quarter. So you've got the circle here, and you've got. Um, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
So you've got the bottom section right here, the bottom quarter, which has three sections,
Yeah.
and then you've also got. Hold on one second. I'm gonna draw this.
Okay.
Uh, 1 second here. Let me quickly just open the paint. Um, okay, so now we've got this. Um, all right, so now we've got a circle. What Enoch's telling us. Okay, this is to be considered the horizon. So we're at the center. Um, well, let's see here. Approximate center. It's not exact. Um, okay, and then what we're gonna do also is it's going to be the four quarters
I
of.
did the same thing. I drew it in my book after I read it.
That's good. Yeah, I've tried to draw it before. Now, basically, what he's telling us, we've got. All right, this is. I'm doing this on the spot. Normally,
Yeah.
this I would do this more accurately, but
Um, while you're drawing that, I'm just going to break down the chapter of
er,
what I come up with. Chapter 76, um, verses 1 through 4, it seems like he's talking about the first 3 months of spring. And then 4 through 6, it looks like he's talking about the porthole of summer. And then 7 through 8 looks like midsummer. And then 9 through 10 looks like fall. And then 11 onward, it looks like winter. And so he just divided he divided the year into 4 sections, and then in chapter 77 he goes on and he talks about those 4 quarters,
okay,
and
that's
then
not how I read it. Let me. So see right here. Here's how I understand this. Um, so he's got the four sections. Hold on. Let me just. The colors are completely. Whoops. The colors will be completely irrelevant, but it's just to mark clearly the distinction. So basically, here's how I see this. Um, so you see the south, the winds from the south. He says, what did he say? He said, um, there's 12 portals. Okay, here are the 12 portals. I just drew you the 12 portals. These are the 12 portals. These are the portals of the horizon. We're told the portals. We were told in chapter 72 that the portals are the horizon places, like where the sun. It talks about in its
meets the
setting in the
constellation.
western portals.
Right.
Uh, it's talking about the horizon and how the sun rises in those special portals on the eastern side, and then on the western side, it sets. And I think it's the same portals here. So in chapter 76, it sounds to me like, so here he says there's 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven, from which the winds go forth. Okay, so he says, through four of these come winds of blessing and prosperity.
That would be
So
spring.
that's not how I read it. Here's how I'll show you. Because and then he says, 8 come hurtful winds. Now he says the first wind from those portals called the east wind. So he's talking about an east wind. He's not talking about a spring wind. He's talking about the east wind. He says, comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting. And from it there come rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. And through the third portal, which lies towards the north, come cold and drought. So you've got cold and drought. You've got heat. At the beginning of spring, you've got the heat, and then you've got the. It wouldn't be if this was trying to follow what you're saying. The spring or the seasons of the year. I don't think it would start out with heat. It would get hot later.
No, you're right. No, I said verse 4 should start with spring. Through 4 of these comes wind of blessing and prosperity, and from these 8 come hurtful winds. I think that would probably be winter and fall when the leaves are coming down.
I see this as Enoch giving us actual advice on how to read the winds rather than talking about what winds are coming at what time of the year. Sounds to me like he's trying to tell us like how the winds like what the wind is going to send to us. So let me go through this with you to show you. So you see in each case, for each what you believe is the seasons, but I believe it's just the quarters of the horizon that he's talking about. But so for the first quarter, there's 3. The middle is bad. The 2 outsiding parts are negative. The same thing for the next through the next one. Let's see. So this is the first wind. Now look here. And after these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth a hot wind, and through the middle portal next to it there come forth fragrant smells and dew and rain and prosperity and health. And through the third portal lying to the west, so there was the second wind, which had 2 on the outside bad and 1 in the middle good. And then again right here we have, and through the third portal lying to the west come forth dew and rain, locusts and desolation. And after these the north winds. From the 7th portal in the east come dew and rain, locust and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direct direction health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud and hoarfrost and snow and rain and dew and locust. And after these 4 are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew and hoarfrost and cold and snow and frost. And from the middle portal come forth dew and rain and prosperity and blessing. And through the last portal which adjoins the south come forth drought and desolation and burning and destruction. So what he's telling us is where he is on earth, he's giving us instructions of how to tell the direction of winds, because remember where Enoch was, the south for him was the equator. So winds from the south would be winds from the hot part of the earth, the equator. Winds from the north would be winds from like the North Pole, which would be cold, harsh. But so see my diagram right here. So here's my interpretation. So imagine you're standing right here. Okay. Imagine. So let's have you as a white dot. You're standing right there, that white dot, and that's your head, the top of your head. Okay, that's the top of your head, and you're looking north, straight north. You're looking. That's like this. Your eyes are looking like this. Then your eyes looking straight east. There, straight west. And then straight south. That's your eyes, your direction of your eye line. What Enoch tells us from my reading is that when you're standing here and you're feeling the direction of the wind, if you feel the direction of the wind coming from this direction, hold on. If you feel the the direction of the wind coming from here, from this direction, then that's going to be a good thing, blessing, prosperity. Same thing here. If you feel the wind coming from here, from this direction of the horizon, it's a prosperous, good weather that's coming. Same thing here. Good weather that's coming if it's coming from this part of the west, from where you are, and same for the south. Good, wonderful weather that's coming your way. But in these other sections, so you're standing right here, and you see, oh, wind is coming from the north, but it's more like the north. It's the northwestern section here, and so that's negative. That's not so good. It's uncomfortable weather that's coming your way. Whoops, we got a little bad weather there accidentally.
Okay.
But
Well,
see, that's how I interpret it. I don't know what you think about that.
that's one viewpoint of taking it. Like I said, I was interpreting this as us living in the time frame of each 33-degree slice, because each one represents a month. So he speaks of the 12 portholes at the beginning of chapter 76, and I think those are speaking about our 12 months, because we have 12 months, right? And each month and quarter has different seasons or winds, as he refers to them. That was my interpretation of it.
Tell me what these portals are at the beginning, chapter 72. What are these? The 6 portals in which the sun rises, and the 6 in which the sun sets. What portals are those? Are those the months or no? Those are the horizon portals. Is that?
Well, the horizon and the month corresponds together, because the sun will travel around in a 360 degree, according to our perspective on Earth, through different constellations, 12 of them. And
Right. So, oh yeah, keep going.
we've got a day and night in um, each one. So I guess he's talking about on the horizon when the sun is there and when the sun is not. I forgot exactly the specifics of your question, but that's
Okay. Yeah. Basically, from my reading here, he says here there's 6 portals in the east and 6 in the west. But now we go down here to 76. And he says there's 3 to the east instead of 6. There's 3. There's 3 portals of the east.
yeah. So you've got 3 seasons on the east side of this. You've got 3 seasons on the north. You've got 3 on 3 in each direction. So each of those 3 is a quarter. So in chapter 77, when he's talking about a quarter, he's talking about 3 months. That was my interpretation.
Okay. Because now look, see, it's still screen sharing, right?
Yes.
All right. So chapter 77. You see right here where it says so let's kind of try to walk through your interpretation here.
Okay.
The first quarter is called the east because it is the first. You're saying it's called spring or something because it's the first season?
Well, it says the first quarter. I guess that would be the first quarter in the year. So
It's telling you a name. Also, this is in the Dead Sea Scrolls too. So
right.
West. Oh man. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So right here, we've got the same stuff right here in Enoch, the Dead Sea Scrolls. We've got. It says basically anything that's in the brackets is not found. They're reconstructing it. what is outside the brackets is what was found. So destruction, death, and okay. Then it says the first. The south they call the south because the great one sojourns there, and in it sojourns something eternally. The great quarter they call the west quarter because the stars of the heaven go there. There they set and there they rise. All the stars, that is why they call it the west.
Yeah,
Then
so
the
depending
north
on
they
where the sun is within those stars is what direction we're in at that time period of the year. That's how we measure,
okay.
right?
Now it says the north they call north because all the bodies of the heaven hide and gather in it and return to it and head towards the east of the heaven. And the orient they call orient because the bodies of heaven ascend from there. Also they call it the levant because they arise from there. And I saw 3 sections of the earth, one for the sons of men to live in it, another for all the seas and the rivers, and another for the deserts, for the 7 and for the paradise of justice. Talks about the 7 mountains. So it corresponds with what we see here.
What corresponds? The season?
I'm saying the chapter here corresponds with the Dead Sea Scroll thing that I was just showing right here.
Okay.
So here's my question. Assuming, trying to follow your interpretation here. So you were saying the first quarter is spring. You're saying the second quarter is summer. The west quarter is fall. And then you're saying the fourth quarter is winter. But here's the thing, which seems to me to not be corresponding with your interpretation, is it says the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. So yours would be the 4th season, winter. Winter is divided into 3 parts. The first part of winter is for the dwelling of men, and the second part of winter contains seas of water and the abysses and forests and rivers and darkness and clouds, and the third part of winter contains the garden of righteousness. So you see what I'm saying right there? It seems like it's not
Well,
jiving.
this does get confusing in chapter 77, what exactly he's talking about there, about the abysses and forests and rivers and darkness and clouds. But from my interpretation really came from chapter 76. For example, verse 11 says, well, starting with verse 10, it says, and after these north winds from the 7th porthole in the east come dew and rain, locust and desolation. And then in the middle porthole come in direct direction health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the 3rd porthole in the west come cloud and hoarfrost and snow and rain and dew and locust. To me, those sound like different seasons.
The problem with that interpretation is the basic idea here is the farther north you go, it's going to be much colder, right? Like so in the north.
Although remember, he lives pre-flood, and pre-flood the climate did not have north poles that were ice nor south poles that were ice. He lived in a completely different greenhouse type environment. When the flood happened, our continents moved, plates shift, the canopy of the atmosphere fell that was protecting the earth. Things haven't been the same since. And that's why at the north and south poles they're finding, grass and the mouths of mammoths. They died. Something happens instantaneously to the planet that caused a great climate shift. So
there is grass in Antarctica, but it's super cold there, very cold. But there actually is life there. There is and so my understanding, what you're saying, I would say is probably true to some extent that, like the ice, there was probably not too much ice there. But I wouldn't say we can say for certain that there was no ice at all, because I think that would be speculation. There probably was some ice, and the from what I understand, uh, the northern section, the farther north you go, it's going to get colder, even in the pre-flood world. Maybe it wouldn't get as cold as it does for us in our day. But my impression was it was still the same case back then, and the same thing when you're going south towards the equator. The closer you get to the equator, the more hot our climate is going to be. And so I don't see this as necessary to correspond these things with the seasons of the year. I see these as
I'm not
Enoch
sure
giving
about
us instruction. He's giving
because
us, trying to help us to read the winds. Uh, let's see here. Because if he was trying to connect this to the calendar, I think there'd be a much easier way to say this. I think there'd be a much easier way to explain what he's saying. If he was trying to talk about the portals as being the months, I don't know. I think there would be a more clear way of saying it. Let's see here. Let's go to the beginning here. He says, the book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, the relations of each, showed me the laws exactly as they are, how it is with regard to all the years of the world. Okay. Then we've got we've got the year of the sun, the year of the moon. Then we've got synchronization. He tells us how to synchronize the two different years together. Tells us of intercalation, the 4 extra days, and then what I see here is now he's going on to something that's not the calendar. This again is my interpretation. He goes on talking about, okay, so here's how you can know about weather. He's trying to give us advice for weather. The problem is what your interpretation is doesn't seem to be matching what we observe for weather, for the winds. During the middle of spring, like basically there's 3 for each season according to your interpretation. There's 3 divisions, but so let's see here. So I'm going to walk you through this, going along with your interpretation.
it's kind of a large coincidence because he's saying there's 12 portholes, there's 4 quarters, and each quarter is divided into 3, and that's exactly what the calendar looks like. And then if you read chapter 5 of verse 77, it even says the word seasons comes forth o'er frost and days, and seasons and years pass away.
Where is this?
Verse 5 in chapter 77.
Okay. Well, I don't see it in mine. Oh, it's in verse 4. Okay. So let me see here. So I want to show you my understanding of what you're saying, okay?
Okay.
Your interpretation for chapter 76. So at the end of the earth, I saw 12 seasons. Or not 12 seasons, 12 months, open to all the quarters of the heaven, seasons of the year. You're interpreting, and then
just let's break it down here. He says 12 portholes, and that's exactly what we look at. We look at 12 different heavenly portholes, one for each month. We have a constellation for each month where the sun travels through, rises from, and sets from. So,
yeah. Now there's the quarters, which you identify with the seasons, right?
Right.
Then okay, so it says 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens. That's the east it's talking about. So what does that mean? 3 months, right? In your interpretation, 3 months are on the face of the heavens, or the spring, in your interpretation.
Right.
It's 3 in the west, so 3 months in summer. Then your understanding is 3 months. Wait, hold on. No, 3 in the west, that's actually fall. Okay. Then 3 on the right, the south of the heaven, that's summer, and then 3 on the left, the north, that is winter. Then you say, okay, so the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, that's winter, and 3 after those on the left of the south, that's summer, and 3 of the west, that is fall. So it's first of all, it's kind of strange that he's going out of order there. But then we continue. He says, through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity. As we're going to see later on, these 4 that he's talking about, this is a summary of the entire year, or not the entire year, all the 12 portals. So he's saying 4 of those 12 portals are good ones, where winds of blessing and prosperity come through. In your interpretation, that would be 4 months of the year.
Right.
And right here, from those
That's when we
months.
truly have blessings within the trees and the climate. That would be spring and the beginning of summer. So that lasts around 4 months.
Say that again, please.
So he's saying 4 months of blessings, right? So that's about how long we have when plants become to produce at the beginning of spring on to the last of the first month of summer. So that would be 4 months of blessings.
So you're thinking that the 4 months are, the 4 portals are the second month of spring, the third month of spring, the first month of summer, and the second month of summer.
No, the first month of spring, the second, third of spring, and the first of summer.
Okay, and now I'll show you how that cannot be correct, because he tells us below what he says here. He tells us. So watch. And the first wind, this is spring in your interpretation. Okay, the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, so the spring wind comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it comes forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. That's clearly a hurtful wind, but well, he puts that in the east, in the spring.
So okay, I'm not saying that east is the spring. I think that this is kind of out of order here. I'd have to break down this chapter, but as far as what I understand is north and south. North would be in the spring area. South would be directly opposite of that. What you have green. East would be yellow, so that would be desolation, the winter. And then, I'm sorry, east would be the blue, so that would be summer when the heat desolation comes. And then you've got west, which would be fall, right?
Hold on 1 second. Let me switch this right now. Let's see. Okay. This is more color coded. So green is going to be spring. Okay. Yellow is summer. Red is fall. Blue is winter. Here is what Enoch is saying. He's saying, let me do a special, let's see, what color should it be? I don't know, brown or something. He tells us the good, he tells us the 4 good parts, the portals, the 4 good portals. When you read it clearly by the context, he's telling us this is a good portal. This is a good portal. Then, oh wait, hold on. This is a good portal. This is a good portal. And this is what he's saying when you read through it. I believe if you meditate on it and study through it line by line, verse by verse, you'll see this is what he's saying. So he says there's 3 portals from each direction: 3 from the east, 3 from the south, 3 from the west, and 3 from the north. The middle portals of each direction are prosperous. That's what he says when you read through it. So in order for this to be correct of your understanding, it would have to be that the first month of spring is bad, the second month of spring is prosperous, the third month of spring is bad, the first month of summer is bad, then the second month of summer is prosperous, third of summer is bad, fall as well, bad here, winter bad here, and winter bad here. But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't happen.
No, that makes sense.
But I think that's what you would have to interpret if what you're saying is correct, that these portals are months. Because I'm pretty sure if you do more study on it on your own time, like reading through and meditating on it, I think you'll see that Enoch is saying what I just drew here, that these portals are the good ones, prosperous, but the other ones are bad and harsh. But I don't know. So you'll have to, because and here's the thing: if he's talking about the calendar, if he's talking about the calendar for this section, why is he then talking about things that don't apply to the calendar? Like, in other words, like he talks about the 7 mountains and then the 7 rivers, which have nothing to do with the months of the year. It sounds like what he's telling us is he's giving us the geography. So after he gives us the calendar, which he divides amongst the portals of the east, so he does the calendar for the east, west, south, and north, and then he gives us the winds, how to use the winds in the east, north, south, west, and then he gives us also the geography of the world, the east, north, south, and west. So I think Enoch is trying to give us some science here. I don't think he's just focusing this on exclusively on the calendar. Then he talks about waxing and waning here of the moon. He gives us different names of them, and then he gives a prophecy later on, which isn't really entirely about the calendar. It's partially about the calendar, but he's giving us more laws about how in the latter time, like it says right here. Look what it says right here. This is still in the calendar section, but it says, in the days the sinners of the sinners, the years shall be shortened, their seed shall be tardy, all things on the earth shall alter, not appear in their time, the rain shall be held back. So he's giving us prophecy, connecting it with the calendar. He says the moon will alter her order. The chiefs of the stars will be altered. And then he gives right here, let's see. And then look what it says right here. And those 7 holy ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their creator. 1 year we will leave thee with thy son, till thou givest thy last commands, that thou mayest teach thy children, and record it for them, and testify to all thy children. And in the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst. So like all this right here, this prophecy is not so much about the calendar, but it's just tying it all together. He's giving us laws of everything. So what did we see in the chapters? Hopefully we'll have time to read it. but it's showing he's being shown here. He's being shown here geography. First, he's being shown the places of punishment, 7 mountains, the abyss. He was shown the treasuries of the winds. He's shown the places of punishment. Visits to Sheol. He goes to Sheol. He sees the mountains, Garden of Eden. Later on, with the Tree of Life, he sees, as you said. Then he is. Oh yeah, here's the Garden of Eden. And then we see right here, he's shown the stars. But first, he's shown the beasts. He's shown beasts. He shows the differences of the beasts. And then he's shown the portals of the heaven where they open, how the stars of heaven come forth. And it says, after he's shown this, he went towards the north to the ends of the earth. He saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. And now look, and here I saw 3 portals of heaven open in the heaven. Through each of them proceed north winds. When they blow, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blow for good. But when they blow through the other 2 portals, it is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. And from thence I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 portals of the heaven open, such as I had seen in the east. The same number of portals and the same number of outlets. So this corresponds. What he's being shown here in 33 to 36 corresponds with the chapters later on. It says right here, from thence I went to the south, to the ends of the earth. So he's being shown on the earth, and he saw there 3 open portals of the heaven, and thence there come dew, rain, and wind. So in the 3 open portals of the south come dew, rain, and wind. And from thence I went to the east.
Right.
Say it again?
I take that as spring.
You take this as spring right here.
Yeah, the south. The south. When the sun is in the south of the heavens, that is my understanding that it is springtime.
Okay. So here's what I suggest, because it seems like we might not come to agreement on this. I want you to read this on your own, and we're actually going to do another. This is not the chapters are here. 76 and 77 are not from what we're doing today anyway. It is kind of related actually though, but we're going to be doing these chapters again, not next week probably, but maybe the week after or something. What I advise is try reading these again and try to, especially what he's saying here, because as I said with the paint diagram that I showed you, I'm pretty sure if you read through it, you're going to see that what he's saying is there's the 3 portals of the east, which you would say 3 portals of the east are the 3 months of spring, and then there's the 3 portals of the south, which you would say are the 3 portals of summer. And then this, what?
Would not represent, the south would represent the spring.
I'm pretty sure
right there, which is spring and which is the south, and line it all up, because the way it is just confusing.
Right here, it says.
So really, the south. If you twisted this image and put the green towards the north.
No, the green is the 3 portals of the east.
Okay.
See, look. So it mentions there's 3 portals. All right. So first of all, let's clarify this. It says there's 3 portals of the east. Is that correct? Does it say that?
Yeah.
And then there's also 3 portals of the south, and
right.
3 of the west, and 3 of the north. So yeah. Let me see. Right here, right? So now I ask you this question: of these 12 portals, where does spring begin?
Okay, that's what I was trying to tell you. Let's make this correspond. Twist the image. Just turn the image about 45 degrees. Put the green at the north, and let's call that spring. And let's also call it south.
Hold on. I'm going to have to. 1 second here. Okay. So let me just do these lines again. Okay. How do you want me to draw the lines?
Well, just divide it into 12 sections.
Like the same as before, or a little different?
Same as before.
Okay, good. So we've got this, and then we've got this.
Or you can just leave it there. That's fine. You don't need to divide it anymore. We've already got 4 sections.
Whoops, wait a minute.
We can simplify it with just 4 sections.
Okay, just with 4 sections.
Right. Okay. So we need one more.
So let's see here.
No, you just had it.
I know, but do you want me to draw it like this, or do you want me to draw it like...
No, like you had it was fine. There
Okay,
you
so
go.
like this, and like this.
Yes. Okay, now let's call the top section spring, and let's call it south.
You're going to call this spring, and you're calling this south.
Yes.
Okay. Next, what's the next one?
And then go to the right. You can put summer there and call that east.
All right.
And then south, you're going to have fall, and that will be north.
Okay.
Should be the head of the year. And then you've got your west. I lost the image there. And the west would be your winter.
Now hold on 1 second. Why do you have why do we have the top as south?
That's an extensive reason there, but basically the year starts and at the head of the year, and there's a reason why they call Rosh Hashanah, which begins in September, which is in summer, the head of the year. The head of the year is actually the north. All this corresponds to the heavens, and it's something that I've taken the time to look up.
South. So should this be south or north?
Well, see, we start the year there, so that is south. You got it correct right now. That's south.
So hold on. I can switch it back, but let me just do this for a second. So why can't it be? Whoops, my bad. Why can't it be? What in the world?
The reason why we don't put spring at the bottom is just because we're looking at a 360-degree circle, and every 33 degrees represents 1 month. And so if you start it at the bottom, then, you know, it's just not normally how the calendar is rendered on images.
Because normally south is below us. We usually put south.
Okay, so you can leave it like that. So
but we start here.
Yes.
Okay, and then we go here for summer.
Right.
And is now summer. Okay. Let me switch it back to what you had. Why does it do that? Oh, I know why it does that. Because I'm switching the whole entire thing. Okay, here's how we had it. So tell me one more time. So this is south, right?
Right.
Now what is this?
That would be
This It's supposed to be.
Without breaking chapter 76 down, I really should be studying over this before I start instructing you. But this is my basic idea, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because that would not be east, that would be west, right there. And so summer would be north. The red would be. Why don't you just write it in as we go?
Okay, so I'm going to write it in with
Matches
this.
up.
So, um, let's see here. Psh, that's horrible. Okay.
Just click on the A for the font.
Where is it?
There's a font right there you can add if you click on A, I think, right?
I don't know how to do. I don't know how that works.
Hi, go ahead and type in there. There you go. It's typing.
It
And
needs to be.
font size.
I didn't know you could do that. All right. There. All right, and
The spring and south.
okay, now. Oh, and you want to say.
The directional heading also needs to be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one would be summer, the yellow one.
The next one is summer.
And east. No, that would be your west.
West.
Right.
All right.
And then north, summer. No. That would
This
be
would be
fall.
fall.
Right.
And north.
Right. And now we've got winter and east.
Okay. So first of all that's your interpretation.
Right. And
Okay.
so when you look at this chapter 76 again, just imagine it fitting that. And if you're going to divide the year in 4, you're probably going to be dividing them on that blessed day, which is the 31st day, which was also blessed by Noah in Jubilees. And that's a Sabbath for us. So
Okay,
those.
hold on. Let's go through this right now if you don't mind. I know this is kind of a tangent, but I think I find it important to go through. And plus, there's only 2 of us, so who cares?
No, we've got.
Or 3 of us, I mean. Excuse me.
We've got a new.
Wait, do we have other people?
Yeah, we have
Oh,
a new.
there's Rob here as well. Oh, good to have you. Sorry, I didn't realize. All right, that's good. We've got another one. When did he come in?
He's been here for a while, actually.
Okay, so Rob, you saw my diagram?
Yeah.
You saw me draw it and stuff, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
And fuzz it all out.
Good. Yeah, right here. Let's see. So I want us to go through, and I'm gonna draw what Sean thinks is the interpretation.
Okay.
How did you scroll over?
Let me ask you a question now.
Sure.
Where is the last porthole out of 12 going to be? It's going to be right at the end of winter, right?
Well, according to your interpretation, I'm not sure.
Well, this is
have you direct me. So I'll have you direct me to this, but let me go to that chapter again.
Yeah, let's go to chapter 76. Now look at verse 12.
Wait, we should start at the beginning. So
Okay.
so at the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters of the heaven. 12 months. So where are we going to put those 12 portals? Are we going to put 3 each?
Well, we know that there's three inside of each four, so that yeah.
I'd like us to draw those 3 lines. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Sure.
All right. So you tell me if I'm doing it correctly. You tell me. Let's see. Okay, right here. So is whoops. Not needs to be a different color. Um, okay. So is this good so far? So this will be first month of spring or no?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we've got that. Then second month of spring. That's correct.
Correct.
Third month of spring right here.
Right.
All right. Now we'll do the same for that. Again, these are not exact to scale, but you can get the idea. So this is first of summer, second of summer, and third month of summer, correct?
Right. And those also represent portholes in the heavens, which we look at stars. He specifically says that here.
So each of these are months and portals, according to you. So the 12 portals are the 12 months as we've drawn them right here.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's see here. So,
We
okay.
have 12 constellations. So each of those represent one constellation and 1 month. 33 degrees.
Okay, so you saw 12 portals open to all the quarters, 4 of them, from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. So the winds go forth through these, which you're saying is the months. So the winds go through these months, or these portals. And now, verses 2 to 3, are we agreeing that it's saying 3 of them are from each right here? There's 3 portals from each quarter. That's what 2 and 3 are saying.
Let me read that. Which the
All right.
winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the east of the heavens, and 3 in the west.
In the parentheses, that's added by the translator. That's not in the text, just so you know. But that's the translator's interpretation based on context.
Okay.
So he says 3. So I'll keep reading. But 3 of them are open on the face.
Okay, so he's saying instead of south and north, he's saying to the right, to the left, and the
He
north and
says,
south. He doesn't,
right.
when he,
Oh, sorry.
okay, I would think this is a good interpretation from the translator because he specifically uses the word north and south, but when he says east and west, he just says left and right.
So, yeah. So let's see here. So right here, verse 2. 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens. The face of the heavens.
Which
If
would
this
be
is talking about the east, that would be these right here.
yes. That's
Then
the
3 in the west, which would be these,
summer, right?
and then 3 on the right of the heaven,
Which 4 says that's the north,
and then
and then
3 on the left.
west, right? And through 4 of these come winds and blessing and prosperity, and from
Right here it says 3 are those of the east, 3 of the north, 3 on the left of the south, and 3 of the west. So far up to verse 3, this corresponds, right?
yes,
Up to verse 3. Okay, now verse 4. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity. You're trying to say that these are these right here.
it could be the first 4, yes,
I want to make sure. So that's what you're going to say for now. That's your interpretation, correct?
yes,
So we're going to do let's say white as good, okay?
Well, just type it in there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. One, we need that. I want that white.
Box for each one.
1, 2.
Now close it out and do a new box. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 right here.
Yes.
4
Those are
of.
blessings and prosperity.
Yep, and then the rest are bad, right? In yours understanding?
I'm not. Let's just go through the chapter to verify all this verse by verse.
I'm just doing this because even though I'm pretty sure we're gonna come to the conclusion that this is wrong, I just want us to see, because if you can see it, it's much easier to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So all right, so there's the 8 right there. All right.
Okay.
Now let's see what it says. 8 is blessing and prosperity, and then from those 8, the 4 blessing and prosperity, the 8 are hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell thereon, and on everything which is in the water and on the land. Basically, it's trying to say, according to your interpretation, that the first 4 months of the year are good, prosperous, but the rest of the months of the year are wretched and horrible. And I feel like that's not true, because we see sometimes in spring it's horrible, and then other times, of the year, like fall, seems to be very pleasant sometimes. Winter sometimes is very pleasant too. Sometimes, there's some bad days in winter and some really good days in winter.
Okay, but let me. For overall, if you just think about what happens during the season, spring, on our first day of the year, we start to see new sprouts after the winter has destroyed everything. Spring starts to restore everything. We get flowers, and it's truly a blessing upon the earth. And then when summer comes in, which is midsummer, we start seeing some really parched heat. We start seeing destruction. We start seeing the waters dried up. Then we're going into fall. We start seeing the leaves even fall off the tree. And then in winter, we continue to see destruction. There are no leaves on the trees. There are no harvests being done. For the most part, there are no new productions going on in the earth. So yes, I could say that the 8 of those months are a consecutive series of destruction upon the earth.
All right, now verse 5. This is going to be an important verse. We're going to try to identify this, okay? And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. So where are we going to put that? The east wind. Does that mean it's somewhere from here?
No, that would be number 5, right? Well, 5 and 6, between 5 and 6.
You want to put it right here.
Let me read it one more time. And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first porthole, which is in the east. Yeah, so that would be the first month. That would be number 6, actually.
Number 6, inclining towards. It says inclining towards the south.
Right. So what you're looking at is okay. Well, maybe in that case,
Hold on.
South.
Let's see. Yeah. So where should we put this? 6.
That would probably be 8. Well, if it's inclined toward the south, that would mean it would be 8.
All right. So we want to put it at 8.
Yes.
All right.
Well, wait. No, that doesn't work out, because it says it comes heat, desolation, drought.
Yeah. So see what it says: inclining towards the south, from it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. So we've got the east wind. So right now it seems like there's an issue right here.
Okay, now what we may have wrong is we may have spring and fall swapped for north and south. If you put north on spring and south on fall, that might resolve that.
All right, let's try it for a second. Is there a way to re-edit these or no?
Yeah, if you click on the box, you can edit. If you
Wait, hold on, let me see this. Like it doesn't let me. It doesn't seem like I can re-edit it. It's doing new ones. So, um,
there should be an arrow pointer where you could just click on it, select. No.
it doesn't seem to work. Hold on. So you want this to be.
Yeah,
You want
just type
this to.
over it in black and
You
put
want this
north.
to be north.
Right.
Put an N on it.
What's that, Rob?
I just said put an N on it. Black
Yeah,
N.
good idea. And so let's see. Um, let's see. All right, and then also we'll do this one right here.
Yeah.
And then south, right?
Yes. Okay, now let's try this again.
Now hold on for a second,
Okay.
because we have to switch these two as well, right?
No, leave it as well. Yeah, I think you're
Or we
right.
just leave it, or we leave it for now.
You're right. You're right. And now it's going to make sense.
So you also want us to
Well, yeah, because we changed the directions of north and south. We're going to have to change west and east now too.
all right. So now, well, oh well. Okay, I'll finish it off. All right, so
That's going to be west.
west,
Going to be east.
east.
There you go. Now
All
let's
right.
try reading this again. And the
All right.
first one,
Wait, hold on. Let me pull it up. All right.
we're
Says
5, right?
first wind from those portals called the east wind comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south.
There you go. That would be number 2.
So this one. So we want to go with that one for now, right?
Yeah. Right.
All right. But from it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction, which is in the summer. So far that is okay with yours. So let's see. How should we say it? Should we say B for bad or something, or
Well, let's just check the chapter and see if everything lines up, and then we'll go refine it later.
okay?
Um,
Let me just do a. I want to make some type of mark though. Let's just say I'll do uh, a small like. Hold on. Let's see. There. Okay. I just drew a little line right there. Okay.
okay, that's bad.
We'll just say that's bad, and then a plus is good or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So for verse 5, now with verse 6. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting, and from it there comes rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. Now where is that going to be? The second
Okay.
portal in the middle.
That would be number 4, right? And that is
You're saying this right here?
No. So you've got two number 4s. I would say that the bad season, number 4.
But right here it says, so through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting. From it there come rain and fruitfulness and prosperity and dew. So that sounds like it's good stuff. Because right here, remember at the beginning it says, through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity. And right here
Right.
in verse 6 it says, the
Harvest.
middle one is fruitfulness and prosperity, what is fitting, rain. So where should we put that?
That would be number 4 in fall. And if you recall in Jerusalem, this was a harvest day of certain, I'm not sure if it was a grain, but this is a harvest day. You're familiar with that, right, Onea?
Say it again, please, one more time.
What you're looking at there is around the first 10 days of Rosh Hashanah, which around the 10th becomes another first fruits and a harvest day,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So that lines up.
All right. So now let's go to the next one. It says, through the third portal, which lies toward the north, come cold and drought. Where do I put that? The third portal, which lies toward the north.
5.
This right here?
Yes.
Because it says it lies toward the north.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's
So you want me to put this right here?
yes.
All right. Now,
Okay. And so that's the end of the season, and it is truly bringing in cold.
now this. And after these come forth the south winds. Now after these come forth the south winds. So these, what you just told me, you have it for number 2, then number 4 right here, and number 5 are the east winds, what you just said. Now here's coming the south winds. So let's see where the south winds go. According to what you're thinking, let's see. South winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them, inclining to the east, comes forth a hot wind. So, south wind in the first portal, inclining to the east. Where would we put that?
South wind. Okay, we may have put these last 2 in the wrong spot, actually. Now that what we need to do is read over this chapter thoroughly and just try to place it.
Let me show you my interpretation, because it matches exactly, and I believe that your interpretation is not going to work. So through 4 of these come winds of blessing and prosperity. Here's it right here. This, and this. These are the 4, okay? Now the green is the east. I'm having the green as the east, the yellow as south, and the red as west, the blue as north. So here's what I have. The 4, the brown ones, those are the 4 portals of prosperity. Okay? Now, so I'm gonna do the marks again. So there, and then we've got this, and okay, so that's my interpretation here. Now we're gonna walk through it, and I'll show you why I think that's correct. So verse 5. The first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. So this is the inclining towards the south. It's in the east, but it's also close to the south. So that's a bad one. Then the second portal in the middle of the east comes what is fitting. That's why I put the plus there. Then the third portal, which lies toward the north, come cold and drought. So that's bad. Cold and drought in the east, hot, heat, drought in the east as well. Then for the south winds, let's see what it says for the south winds. Hold on. Where are the south winds? Okay, verse 7. After these come forth the south winds through three portals. Through the first portal of them, inclining to the east,
Wait a
comes
minute, wait a
forth.
minute. I'm just looking at my diagram that I had designed. I put my numbers in a different sequence that you put yours. That's where the problem came in.
Okay, how will we fix?
Okay.
Wait, do you have it to show us?
Why don't I draw it up and I'll send it to you, and I'll put some thought into it and make it,
Okay.
and then you take a look at it.
You mean right now or some other time?
No, it'll take me some time. But what I did was I put each quarter was divided into three, but they weren't in sequence like you have going here. The one would start, like for instance, on fall. One would be in the place of 5, and then 2 would be 4, and then 3 would be. I can't see the image right now.
Hold on.
I'm looking at Rob. Here we go. So, but anyway, that's where the confusion came in. So I'm going to try to put together my idea of interpretation of what I think this is, and then we can maybe continue the discussion. But I don't want to continue dragging this out because it's been like a year since I've looked over this chapter.
Okay. Yeah. So send me that.
Okay.
And then as I said, we're going to be doing this again, this topic again, in like a couple of weeks. So
okay.
try, and then if you want, you can join there, and we can go through it again. But so let me just finish this up, going through my interpretation, and then we'll go back and try to do the rest of this. So through it says for verse 7. After these come forth the south winds through three portals. South winds through three portals. Through the first portal of them inclining to the east comes forth a hot wind. So that would be right here. That's a hot and negative. Through the middle portal of the south winds, there come fragrant smells and dew and rain and prosperity and health. That's where I got the plus right there. Through the third portal of the south, lying to the west, come forth dew and rain, locusts and desolation. So we've got another bad one. Towards the west, in the south, which is bad. Then, let's see. After these, the north winds. So now going to the north. And from the seventh portal in the east come dew and rain, locusts and desolation. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thinking. So I think it's this right here. The seventh portal in the east. Then from the middle portal of the north comes a direct direction, health and rain and dew and prosperity. Through the third portal, whoops, okay. So it should be this one. Now, third portal in the west, come cloud and hoarfrost, and snow and rain, and dew and locusts. Okay, and after these 4, that sounds inaccurate. After these 4, so R.H. Charles sometimes changes it, so it should probably say after these 3 or something, are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining the north come forth dew and hoarfrost, and cold and snow and frost. So that's right here. Then from the middle portal of the west come dew and rain and prosperity and blessing. And through the last portal, which adjoins the south, come forth drought and desolation, burning and destruction. So you see in each of these, you've got this one, it's cold up here in the west, but also heat in the west because it's closer to the south. Same thing for here and here. So that's what we see. I believe what Enoch describes matches very well this diagram that I have. And I think you can't really match it with the seasons. But so try to draw it up and get back to me on it.
Okay.
And for anyone who's watching this on the recording, hopefully you enjoyed the tangent. But if not, my apologies. But I thought it was good. I think it's a good thing we went through. So let me see here. All right. Now I'm going to show you guys. I have the documents here loaded. And so here, can you guys see this okay? This is... can you see the text all right? No?
No, it's just your diagram.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll show you. Let me screen share it. All right. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is from one version of Enoch. You can see there's a whole bunch of other stuff here that's not in most people's version. This is R.H. Charles' text, which is from most translations of Enoch. Just copy and paste his version, and they remove his footnotes. But he explained very clearly what certain differences were. So you see he has little markings right here. That means that's not in the Greek, but it is in the Ethiopian when he has these type of brackets. Parentheses means he added it, and that's not part of the text. And this type of bracket means it's in the Greek, it's not in the Ethiopian. And he also gives footnotes here. So, as we discussed before, the 7 mountains are discussed in other places in the Book of Enoch. Earlier in like chapter 18 or something, and then also in chapter 76, talks about the 7 mountains. So it seems like these are the same 7 mountains that it's going on about. Let's see. The 7th mountain was in the middle of all these. It excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And amongst them was a tree such as I had never yet smelt. Neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. So what it says its fruit was like the dates of a palm. And he asks Michael what the tree was. Why is that tree like that? And then he tells him, he says, "This high mountain, which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Lord of Glory, the Eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness." Remember, the scriptures speak about the Messiah coming and going down on the mountain when he visits us. I think it's talking about the same thing. And then it says, "And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all and bring to its consummation forever. It shall be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter, and its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as thy fathers lived, and in their days shall no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them." So it's clearly talking about the tree of life as Sean said earlier. And it's talking about how the tree is going to be removed from the garden and put into the temple area, the holy place in Jerusalem. That's how I read it. Now, here's some footnotes right here. See this? He says, and from thence all the way to the of the earth. Remember, as I told you, these notes, these brackets mean that's what it means. But he also sometimes tells you in the footnotes just to give you a double reminder. So he says all that is not in the Greek. Day and is not in the Greek. Beyond it is his translation of the Greek. The Ethiopian says towards it. So what's that? I went beyond it. Ethiopian says I went towards it. He went towards the mountain range. Here it says, showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night in the Ethiopian. Apparently the Greek just says in the night. It doesn't say day and. Here we've got and beautiful. In the Greek it says in beauty. That's pretty similar. And then we've got, look right here, we see 3 towards is not in the Greek text, and 1, both times it says 1 is also not in the Greek text. So where we've got right here 3 towards the east, 1 founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, 1 upon the other. So it changes it to basically make it say, so he saw 7 magnificent mountains, the east founded on the other, and 3 towards the south. It makes it sound like perhaps there's like 10 mountains or something. I think the Ethiopian is the correct reading here. Let's see. Hold on, very. Let's see, that's verse 5. Okay, its bloom's very delightful. Not a major difference there. Then Enoch. Okay, verse 2. It says, then I answered him. That's what many manuscripts say, but a good number of manuscripts say, then Enoch said. See right here. The Greek text, though, does not say Enoch. So let's see. And then R.H. Charles, in his commentary, he says it is not Sinai, but the throne of God which he descends to bless the earth. So it's probably some other mountain, not Mount Sinai. These terms, Holy Great One, Lord of Glory, Eternal King, we see that in the Dead Sea Scrolls sometimes. Now let's see.
What was the Dead Sea Scrolls written in? What language?
In Hebrew and Aramaic. For the Enoch fragments, it was in the Enoch ones are Aramaic. Now let's see. 26 and 27. He says E is very corrupt. He didn't translate the Ethiopian. He followed the Greek text. Then, to the holy place, R.H. Charles agrees with my interpretation. Jerusalem when purified. And then he says in verse 6, he followed the Greek. He says the Ethiopian differs in lines 2 and 3, where these manuscripts here read shall and then bones at the end of it. And they shall draw the fragrance thereof into their bones. He says, if we accept this, we might read, then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad in the holy place. So let me see here. Verse 6, that's right here. And its fragrance shall be in their bones. It says, and they shall draw the fragrance thereof into their bones. That's the Ethiopian. Let's see. Who? Alright, so verse 7. Then blessed I the God of glory, the eternal King, who hath prepared we see that's from the Greek. In the Ethiopian, it just says because. And then created them, in the Greek, in the Ethiopian, it says created such things. And then, okay, 26, the middle of the earth. It's in other scriptures it talks about Jerusalem as the middle of the earth. The holy place is the middle of the earth.
Right. Jubilees calls it the navel of the earth, Mount Sinai.
Right. He says, I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming of a dismembered tree. It's a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. Between them, let's see. He's talking about the three mountains. Okay, and then in verse 27 it talks about what's the purpose of the valley. And Uriel, or Serial, as the Dead Sea Scrolls show us. Yeah, and right here we see, okay, the Greek says holy, and the Ethiopian says humble. That was, wait, hold on, verse 5. It shall be given to the righteous and humble. In the Ethiopian, the Greek says holy. And yeah, and this is exactly what Sean just said. Jubilees calls the earth the navel, Jerusalem. And then according to R.H. Charles, he says Enoch chapter 90, verse 26, tells us that Gehenna, the place of punishment, is in the midst of the earth, or in the middle of the earth.
I just found a tidbit here. When it speaks about the valley that you just looked over,
yeah,
it also in the footnote refers to it as Kedron. And if you search that, what is Kedron? It says that it's the valley narrow between Mount. It even says the location of it. It says it's between Mount of Olives and Mount Moriah. And there's a prophecy that says that the Mount of Olives will split open.
Yeah.
When Messiah comes. I'm wondering if this is the valley that it's talking about.
Yeah, I think it is. Let's see.
This is a future prophecy of a valley that doesn't exist yet. Sounds like the unrighteous will be hurled into.
Well, it seems to me that well, perhaps it's a valley that doesn't exist yet. But from what I've seen according to Enoch and Jubilees, it seems like a lot of the geography of the pre-flood world is the same as after the flood. Some of it probably changed a little bit, but it seems like the landmarks are still the same from before the flood and after. So the valley might actually have been there. It might have been there even before the flood.
Well, there's always been the Valley of Gehenna where they threw the trash and even dead bodies of people who didn't have a family for a decent burial, such as criminals. I mean, that was basically the lake of fire. It stayed burning day and night.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, look, here's something interesting. Then Uriel, all the way to this, is in the Ethiopian, but it's not in the Greek. So right here, then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, that's not in the Greek. So we can see that the Greek is not always reliable sometimes. Now,
Isn't Yahweh going to split the mountain when he comes back? Make a valley for...
right, isn't that in Zechariah?
Right.
Yeah,
I think somewhere.
I think that's exactly what it's talking about.
Yeah. And they escape.
Yes.
And interestingly, is Mount of Olives is actually a very ancient and old grave site. And it talks about in John, I think it's chapter 5, 24 and 25, about the dead coming out of their tombs. The righteous will be judged to life, and the unrighteous can't remember how it's worded, but that would basically be the second judgment
Yeah.
for some.
Yeah. Good observation. Let's see. Then we've got here. R.H. Charles sometimes prints two different versions of the same text. He prints the Ethiopian here and the Greek on this side. So you can look at the differences here. Here shall be their place of judgment. It says right here, here shall be, in the Greek it says, their place of their habitation. Then, in the last days there shall be upon them the spectacle of righteous judgment. Days of the true judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. In the presence of the righteous forever, here shall the merciful bless the Lord of glory. Here shall the, it says godly, but look, there's a black right there. Black means that he changed it. And then in the days of judgment over the former they shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and set forth his glory and lauded him gloriously. So let's see. Valley. Greek has earth. I think that's earth. Wait. No. It has that, but R.H. Charles says that's actually a transliteration of the Hebrew. Like as in Nehemiah 11. So perhaps he's right there. Then the accursed, that's not in the Ethiopian. That's verse 1. So right here. Here shall all the accursed be gathered. So in the Ethiopian it just says, accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here shall all they be gathered together, who utter with their lips against the Lord. So it's not too much of a difference for removing some of these words. The godly, like see right here, he says he amended it. What does your guys' version say for verse 3? Does it say at the final part of it? Here shall the godly, or here shall the merciful? What does yours say?
What chapter are you talking about?
Verse 3 at the final clause of chapter 27.
Okay. It says, it shall be their place of judgment in the last days. There shall be upon them a spectacle of righteous judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the Lord glory, the Lord of glory, the eternal King.
Okay, so that one follows the Ethiopian. Okay, good. Sometimes what you're going to see, the bolded is altered, not what the text actually says. And sometimes that's in the regular text you guys have, but you don't have a footnote telling you that. And I believe sometimes when he changed that's wrong, that what he changed. You can see there's bold right here, and plants. There's bold right here, aromatic. So he changes things a lot from what the text actually says to what he think it should have said, which is questionable. It's questionable. Sometimes it can be accurate, but it's questionable.
Look at the context of the verse. He says that they will bless the Lord. Well, if it's the unrighteous who are going to be thrown into the tavern, what is it? Basically, Gehenna. And the only people going to be left to bless him are the godly.
Right. It says, in the days of judgment over the former. The former is referring to, it mentions the righteous right here. In the presence of the righteous forever. In the days of judgment over the former. In the days of judgment over the former, in the days of judgment over the wicked, they, the righteous, shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them. That's how I read it. And then, yeah, so verse 5, let's see. It says, and set forth his glory. And set forth his glory and lauded him gloriously. Apparently in the Ethiopian it says, and then I blessed the Lord of glory and set forth him set forth him and remembered him gloriously. See right here? The Greek says lauded him gloriously. The Ethiopian says remembered, zakarku, which is a cognate of the Hebrew word zakar, which is remember. Ethiopian is a Semitic language, and sometimes it has a lot of words which are the same basic words as Hebrew. So zakarku is the Ethiopian for remembered. R.H. Charles says Zemarku, an Ethiopian word Zemarku, is lauded. So it's a slight difference of spelling of which word is it Zekarku, remembered, or Zemarku, lauded, as the Greek says. Then, okay, so that's that, and then let me see. This is another version, just checking the, okay, this version also mentions the Dead Sea Scroll stuff. Let's see. I'm just checking the footnotes of here, of anything special. Yeah, let's see. G, 25. G. So, and the elect will be presented with its fruit for life. That's what the Ethiopic text says. This is for the righteous and the pious, and the elect will be presented with its fruit for life. And then Charles, it says Charles considers Masse, northeast, a mistake for laquelle, for food. Where is that right here? H. He will plant it in the direction of the northeast. What does it have? That's verse 5 of 25. Let's see. Yeah, he put it as food. Its fruit shall be as food for the elect. Whereas according to this other version right here, it says that Charles considers that a mistake, which we should not follow what Charles says there. I don't think we should follow what the actual text says. He will plant it in the direction of the northeast upon the holy place. And then, okay, B and C add sorrow, pain, torment, and plague shall not touch them. Is that in the other version? Let's see. L. Such as your fathers lived in their days. Yep, it's that's the same right here. So that's in manuscripts of B and C, not in all Ethiopian manuscripts. And then let's see here.
Kay says that she's on, but she can't type anything to send any comments.
What? Say it again.
Kay Morrison is online, and she said that she cannot see a place to type in commentary.
Okay, basically, see this right here? It says we have the sidebar right here, which is the people who are on with us. Then we have people who are not on with us, but who are viewing it. And I think that's what's going on. She's viewing it, but she's not with us to comment. Is she on YouTube, or where is she viewing it from?
I assume she clicked the. She says she's watching it. Yes, she's assisting.
Okay, because that's probably why that can't. I can't see. You can only type messages if you're on this. If you join here.
Okay. Try doing that, Kay.
I'm not sure how to do that. Usually I just click on the link that I sent to people. At least for me, I just click that link and then it brings me to the thing, and then I just say join the chat. I don't know. Hopefully you can figure that out. How long has Josh been with us?
Josh, it looks like he came on about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. We're gonna be trying to finish this, so let's see. But I want to do this here for at least 30 minutes. Is that okay for you guys?
Sure, for me it's fine.
Let's see here. Text unclear. Verse, chapter 27, footnote E, right here. The merciful will bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King, all the day. So, all right. So that's pretty much those footnotes here. She's still having problems joining us?
I'm not sure.
Okay. While we're figuring that out, let's have someone read the next thing, please. And we're gonna try to.
What do you want to read?
I want someone to read the rest of 28 to 36, but can we? Unless no one else wants to do it, I want to give someone else a chance to do it. Rob or Joshua, do either of you want to read those chapters?
No, thank you.
All right. What about you, Josh? Do you want to read it, or do you want Sean to read?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I've got two different versions here, so I don't know which one you want me to use.
Which versions do you got?
I have the Hallelujah Scriptures version, and I have the Olive Tall Sefer version.
Okay, just pick which one you prefer, which one you like better. Both of those seem okay. I haven't checked them out myself, but whichever one you want to do, that's cool. And read chapters 28 to 36.
All right, I'll just go with the Hallelujah Scriptures one for now.
All right.
Because the chapters and verses of the Sefer are a little different.
Yeah.
All right, so you want 28 through 36?
Yes, please.
All right. And then I went towards the east, into the midst of the mountain range of the desert. And I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary, full of trees and plants. And water gushed forth from above, rushing like a plentiful watercourse towards the northwest. It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. And then I went to another place in the desert, and approached to the east of this mountain range. And I there saw aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. And the trees also were similar to the almond tree. And beyond these I went far to the east, and I saw another place, a valley of water. And therein there was a tree, the color of fragrant trees, such as the gum tree. And on the sides of those valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon. And beyond these I proceeded to the east. And I saw other mountains, and amongst them were groves of trees, and there sweet liquid flowed forth from them, which is named Sarara and Gabanum. And beyond these mountains I saw another mountain to the east of the ends of the earth, whereon were aloe trees, and all the trees were full of incense, being like almond trees. And when one burnt it, it smelled sweeter than any fragrant odor. And after these fragrant odors, as I looked towards the north over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees, and cinnamon and pepper. And then I went over the summits of all these mountains, far towards the east of the earth, and passed above the eastern sea, and went far from it, and passed over the messenger, Zoltiel. And I came to the garden of righteousness, and saw beyond those trees many large trees growing there, and of pleasant fragrance, large, very pleasant, and great. And the tree of wisdom, of which they eat, and know great wisdom. That tree is in height like the fir, and its leaves are like the carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine, very lovely. And the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how lovely is the tree, and how good to look at it. Then Raphael, the Kodesh messenger, who was with me, answered me and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which your elderly father and your aged mother, who were before you, have eaten. And they learned wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden. And from there I went to the ends of the earth, and saw there hold on real quick for me.
Was she not
Okay.
able to get it to work, Sean? Okay, you can continue.
She couldn't get on.
All right.
But she's
Okay.
watching.
And from there I went to the ends of the earth, and saw their great beasts, and each differed from the other, and birds also, differing in appearance and form and voice, the one differing from the other. And to the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth, whereon the Shamayim rests, and the portals of the Shamayim opened. And I saw how the stars of the Shamayim come forth, and I counted the portals out of which they proceed, and wrote down all their outlets, of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses and their position, and their times and their months, as Uriel, the Kodesh messenger, who was with me, showed me. He showed all matters to me, and wrote them down for me. Also their names he wrote for me, and their laws, and their beginnings. And from there I went towards the north, to the ends of the earth. And there I saw a great and magnificent object at the ends of the whole earth. And there, and here, Yahuwah of hosts, I saw three portals of the Shamayim open in the Shamayim. Through each of them proceed north winds. When they blow, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blow for good. But when they blow through the other two portals, it is the violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow the violence. And from there I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw there three portals of the Shamayim open, such as I had seen in the east, the same number of portals, and in the same number of outlets. And from there I went to the south, to the ends of the earth, and saw there three open portals of the Shamayim. And then there came dew, rain, and wind. And from there I went to the east, to the ends of the Shamayim, and saw where the three eastern portals of the Shamayim opened, and small portals above them. Through each of these small portals passed the stars of the Shamayim, and run their course to the west on the path which is shown to them. And as often as I saw, I barak always Yahuwah of esteem. And I continued to barak, or bless Yahuwah of esteem, who was wrought great and magnificent wonders, to show the greatness of his work to the messengers, and to spirits, and to men, that they might praise his work and all his creation, that they might seek the work of his might, and praise the great work of his hands, and barak him, or bless him forever.
Okay, good. Thank you for reading that. Do you guys have any insights of what we read? If you want, you can share, and then after you guys share, or if no one does, then I'll share what I have to say. Okay. Well, if there's anything you guys want to say, it comes to you later on, please feel free to do so. Let me share the screen again. All right. So let's see. We left off with 28. So, right. And again, these special brackets it's a quick reference to tell you that that's not in the Greek. What's in between here? That's not in the Greek. That's not in the Greek. That's not in the Greek. Now here, it's in a. This tells us that R.H. Charles thinks that's not part of the original text. He thinks that was added. I disagree, but that's his opinion. When you see it bolded, that means R.H. Charles changed it. And that's not what the actual text says, but he just decided to change it. Parentheses is he added it for clarification. And this type of bracket right here, it's in the Greek, but not in the Ethiopian. So that was a little reminder of what that means. Let's see here. Also, I just find it interesting that he tells us about the trees and the plants. It's just kind of interesting because he finds it important to tell us about this stuff. In the beginning of the Book of Enoch, he's telling us about the 14 trees which don't lose their leaves in winter. So Scripture often finds the trees and the plants of importance and value to teach us, and I think it's we can learn from what Enoch tells us about these plants of their value and their blessing that our Creator gave to us. And he's also he's basically telling us about the places that he saw, the geography, and so he's saying how each mountain has certain blessings. So he's kind of like telling us ahead of time that these are blessings for the righteous to come. Now let's see here. Wilderness. So verse 1, thence I went into the midst of the desert. That's what the Greek says. The Ethiopian adds those clauses. R.H. Charles claims that the Aramaic original was seeds. So right here, plants, full of trees and plants. Apparently, R.H. Charles thinks the original is plants, but the actual text of the Greek and the Ethiopian both say seeds. So it should say full of trees and seeds, not plants. And what? Also, see right here, and is removed from the Ethiopian. It's not in there. So Ethiopian just says full of seed trees or something like that. Seed trees. Seedy trees or something. Then we also have caused all the way to ascend, which is what the Greek says. Where is that? Caused clouds and dew to ascend. He says the Ethiopian, if you amend it by changing vowel points, because the Ethiopian text has vowel points, if you change the vowel points, you can make the Ethiopian text say what the Greek text says. So that's what R.H. Charles did. Then, clouds. Greek and Ethiopian read water, not clouds. See, Greek reads uder, which is water, and that's a waters, like mayim in Hebrew. It's mayin in Aramaic. So right here, where is it? It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. I don't see why he said clouds. It makes no sense. Water makes sense. So
Well, if I could inject something there, he may be speaking about fog,
that could be interpreted as clouds, but all three of them are water. A cloud is made of water, so it's just a translation choice, I think.
Well, R.H. Charles tells us what he does. He tells us whenever he bolds something, he tells us that that's him actually changing the text to try to correct it to what he thinks it actually said in the
Right.
original. So what R.H. Charles is trying to say is he believes the original Aramaic. Can you see this right here, or is it hard to see?
Yeah, we can see it.
Onanin, which is Hebrew or Aramaic, Hebrew and Aramaic for clouds. Mayin is Aramaic for waters. Hebrew is Mayim. So he claims, Arch Charles believes that the original said Onanin, and that it got changed and mistranslated as Miyin. But I don't really see any evidence for that. But as Sean said, they both are similar in idea, so it's not too much of a false rendering. He went to a place in the desert. Let's see, aromatic trees. And what does that say right here? A corruption in the Aramaic leading to a false rendering of judgment. So apparently, the text says, I'm not sure if he's saying I saw trees of judgment or something. I don't know if that's what he's saying. The Greek says exhaling. Ethiopian says, I don't know what this word is. Pleon. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Almond tree is in the Greek. Ethiopian does not have almond tree, but it says right here, after pleon in line before, it has kuaskuas, question mark. He doesn't know it. He's not sure what that is. And then he says possibly corresponding to the Greek karuais. Let's see. Verse 1 of 30, that's and beyond. Wait, hold on. What was it? Water, like that which fails not. Like that which fails not. Okay, so actually the Ethiopian has a special thing that's not in this text. That's not in his translation. It says, I saw another place, a valley of water, like that which fails not. So that's interesting. An extra detail there. Let's see. Right here, to the east of the ends of the earth. That's in the Greek. It's not in the Ethiopian. That's why it's in a special bracket. Whereon were aloe trees. That's in the Ethiopian. That's not in the Greek. So it's possible that it either should be this or this, not both. I'm not sure though. All the trees were full of stacked. Right here, he says he changed it. What does your guys say for stacked? In chapter 31, verse 3 or verse 2, all the trees were full of what? What does he say there? Being like almond trees.
Full of stacked.
This is better treat your brother good.
It says stacked in your guys. Yeah. He
What about
says
yours,
right. What?
How about Josh's version of the Hallelujah? What does that say?
Trees of judgment in the Sefer. Okay, Kay's with us. Good. Good to have you here. So basically, okay, so of stacked, that is, let me see, where was it? Of the judgment one, right? That's Aramaic. That's aromatic. That's in chapter 29 of judgment. But we're looking for of stacked in chapter 31. being like almond trees. And basically, this is bolded, as you can see. It's bolded, which means that R.H. Charles changed it. So if your translation says stacked, that means you have altered text. And what the Greek text actually says is autus. I don't know what that means. And then Ethiopian says stereos. That's the Greek presumed form behind the Ethiopian translation. So stacked is not the correct translation. He changed that, and it should not be there.
I've never heard
burnt, what?
Before. I've never even heard of that word stacked before.
It's just like a type of plant or something, I think, or some type of, it's one of the spices or something. Burnt is what the Greek text says. The Ethiopian says something else. Wait. It says G in turn follows a misreading. Translates it as pound or something. Let's see. Smelt sweeter, and then Ethiopian says was better. So you can see there are some interesting differences there. Now I want to talk for a second about the content of this. First, once again we see the 7 mountains, which we saw before. 7 mountains, and then there's the angel Zotio. That might be one of the 7 archangels. But now it's showing us the geography of where the Garden of Eden is, and this Jubilees, the Book of Jubilees, also gives us geography details as well of where the Garden of Eden is. So we can kind of use Enoch and Jubilees to figure out where the garden is. It's kind of cool information there. And then it says, this is clearly the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It says, beyond those trees, many large trees growing there, and of goodly fragrance, large, very beautiful, and glorious, in the tree of wisdom, whereof they eat and know great wisdom. And then the Greek apparently says 2 trees, and the tree of knowledge, whose holy fruit they eat and know great wisdom. So the tree of knowledge of good and evil was a holy fruit, and it's great wisdom. So it kind of, like, a lot of people almost, when they read what Genesis says, they read it like as if it was like a horrible fruit, like it's cursed fruit, but it's not cursed fruit, it's holy. We need to understand it was holy, but just like according to the law of Moses, not everyone is allowed to touch the holy things. If you touch the Ark of the Covenant, you deserve to die, unless you're not supposed to touch it at all. In the same way, regular people were not supposed to touch it unless given permission, the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that's what Adam and Eve did, unfortunately. This right here is not in the Ethiopian, but it is in the Greek. That tree is in height like the fir, and its leaves are like the carob tree. The fruit of it is like the clusters of the vine. Some apocryphal texts say that it was the vine that was the fruit of what they ate from. It says the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then Enoch is talking, he tells of how attractive it is its look. So even Enoch acknowledges, wow, that's very attractive. You can understand, okay, why would they risk everything they had for that fruit? Because there was other fruit in the garden. They could eat from the tree of life and all these other fruit trees. They had everything else. Why couldn't they just obey and not take it? What was such a big deal? Like, why did they care about this? Why did they feel the need to give in and eat of this forbidden fruit? But what we see here, a little insight into that, is because it was extremely attractive in appearance. It was so aesthetically pleasing. It looked very desirable and delicious to eat. It's like with some people when they see a commercial on TV and they see pizza, they're like, oh, I just need that pizza. You see people like that. It's kind of a similar thing, but this was like way more intense than that.
Yeah. I have an interesting context about the Christmas tree regarding that subject. I think that the Christmas tree is actually sort of a replica of that original tree that was supposed to be so enticing in the garden that misled mankind.
What,
And that's why,
the tree of knowledge?
yes.
It's an interesting idea. I never heard of that idea before. Did
Yeah,
you
it's
come
kind
up
of
with
like,
that, or did you hear it from other people?
no, I just came up with that. It's kind of like
Okay,
Satan's trophy. And it's
gotcha.
got
Huh.
all these balls all over it, like enticing fruit, you know. And then at the top of it, it has the pentagon, five-pointed star, which is basically a symbol of Satan dominating the
Right.
tree.
Hmm.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah. You have to. It goes a little bit off topic, but that's interesting. You should talk with me sometime about that on Facebook. I'd be interested to hear more about it.
Okay.
The tree was enticing, but the adversary was there to market it too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that always
Exactly.
helps.
That's kind of what happens with other sins too. It's like
He always there somewhere.
these these sins are very tempting of themselves, and then to add to that, we've got the enemy trying to overpower us and bring us to these sins. And now we got Raphael talking, and he explains to him. Now, look, this is really cool because this helps us figure out some things. It tells us the Septuagint is wrong. This proves that the Septuagint is in error in Genesis in the genealogy, because it says right here, "This is the tree of wisdom of which thy father old and thy aged mother who were before thee have eaten." Basically, it's saying your Adam and Eve are old, but they're still alive. So right now, when Enoch is having this vision, they're still alive, and that actually agrees with the Samaritan version of Torah and the Book of Jubilees. Possibly it agrees with Masoretic texts, but I'm not sure. Um, but it probably does with the Masoretic, yeah. But so this just kind of gives the extra details here. It confirms the Genesis story. They knew that they were naked and they were driven out of the garden. Um, so it's clear what the angel is saying here. Let's see. Verse. What is that? Oh, yeah. According to Arts Charles, this was removed by accident by the scribes, by something called hometzelution or something along those lines. I don't know how you pronounce it, I forget, but right here, see, HMT. Ethiopian omits that clause accidentally through HMT, hometzelution or something. Let's see, verse 4. And the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar.
Are we still talking about the tree of knowledge, good and
Yeah.
bad?
Yes, that's still the tree
That's
of
what's
knowledge.
out of attractive smell, too.
Yep.
Interesting.
It was entirely enticing, it seems like. Um, let's see. Okay. It says the Greek text breaks off with thy father ate. Apparently, there's no more after that for the Greek text. The fragment ends there or something. And said in the Ethiopian, it's not in the Greek. So that's, where's that? And said right here. So the Greek just says, answered me, this is the treat. But in the Ethiopian, it says, answered me and said. So it seems like the scribes sometimes omitted some of these extra details because it's repetitive. And they said, oh, we don't need that. It's basically saying the same thing, so they remove it. We see that all throughout Scripture, I find. We talked earlier about how these chapters kind of correspond with later on what we that tangent we went on earlier, that long tangent from chapters 76 and 77. This corresponds very well to that. and basically chapter 72 to 76 it corresponds. But first, it's interesting because he's being shown the animals. So that's kind of really. It doesn't tell us what he was shown about the animals, but Enoch felt the need to tell us that he was shown the animals. Then after being shown the animals, he was also shown the portals and the stars, and this is basically a summary of what we find in chapters 72 through 76, where he writes it down. It says Uriel showed him all these things, and Enoch wrote it down, but the angel also wrote it down for him. The angel Uriel, or Sariel, wrote down the laws, and Enoch also wrote down these laws. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, I believe these chapters support my interpretation that it's not talking about it's not talking about the seasons, but it's talking about the direction of the wind to determine to determine whether you're going to have a good weather or not. It's kind of like, you know how there's there's compasses, right? So there's a compass. Enoch gives us he gives us a sundial. Okay, he gives us a sundial. He gives us a compass, and he gives us a wind. What are those? You know, the wind main lines or something. I forget the exact term for them. But just like those wind instruments, which you set it up and it tells you what direction the wind is coming from. That's the same thing Enoch's telling us right here. He's telling us the direction the wind comes from is an indication whether it's going to be good weather or bad weather. And he tells us right here, he went towards the north, to the ends of the earth. He was in the northern section of the world, and he saw there a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. He saw 3 portals of heaven open in the heaven. This is the horizon line that he's looking at. It says, through each of them proceed north winds. So there's winds coming from the north. When they blow, the north winds blow because they're coming from the North Pole. There is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. But out of one portal, as we learn later on, it's the middle portal. Out of the middle portal of the north, they blow for good from the north. But when they blow through the other 2 portals on each of the sides, it is with violence and affliction on the earth. And they blow with violence. Basically, Enoch's telling us that it's punishment for sin. When we sin, there's punishment from harsh weather. So if you want to figure out for yourself the weather, you just follow Enoch's instructions, and you see which direction the wind is coming from. So if you're by yourself and some people are warning about possible hurricane season, and you see the winds are coming from a bad angle, according to Enoch, that's a warning sign that you need to be aware that something bad's probably going to happen. But if it's coming from one of the prosperous lines of direction, then that's a good thing, and it's not going to be bad. So we can use this. It's very practical for us, I believe, if my interpretation is correct, and I believe it is. So yeah, this ends this section right here. Some footnotes. Some of the Ethiopian manuscripts read functions instead of companies. Some manuscripts say device, others say wonder. North winds, as we read earlier, one manuscript says winds through the north. It's the same thing, just worded differently. 35, the east. R.H. Charles claims it should say the north, but we should not listen to what R.H. Charles is saying. I don't think I think most of the time R.H. Charles is wrong. And then 36, 1. I went to the south and saw there 3 open portals, and thence there come dew, rain, and wind. R.H. Charles marks that as corrupt. That's what those crosses mean. It means he thinks it's corrupt. That's a bad reading. Right here. Oh, and so manuscripts right here come. Some manuscripts say the south wind, and this one says from the south. So right here, and from thence I went to the south. I saw, and thence there come from the south, or the south wind. See, 2 spirits and 2 men. That's verse 4. Glorious wonders to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to spirits and to men. It says right here in other manuscripts, it says to the spirits of men. So that's a very different reading there. And then the work of his might, the might of his work. It's basically the same thing. And then one other, we'll check this to see if there's any important readings. Oh wait, aromatic. Let's see what he says. And there I saw the tree of judgment, the smell of rubbish. Its tree looked like that of frankincense and myrrh. And beyond it, beyond those above the easterly mountains, it is not far, and I saw a place which is a valley of water that is endless. And I saw a beautiful tree which resembles a tree whose fragrance is like that of mastic. Okay. Called Sarara and Galbanum. And they were aloe trees. Whole forest. The whole forest was full of like sturdy almond trees. Remember, he corrected it to say stacked, but according to the Ethiopic text, it actually says the whole forest. That's a very different reading. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, see right here. Hard almond trees. Charles amends this sentence to read, all the trees were full of stacked, being like almond trees. And then right here, line H, it pleases above all odors. That's H. Where's that? Right here. And when one picks the fruit, it gives the most pleasant odor. R.H. Charles changed it to say, when one burnt it, it smelt sweeter than any fragrant odor. So he changed. R.H. Charles is guilty of changing the text and not basically in the translations you guys have that copies Charles' version. You don't have the footnotes, so you don't see this stuff, which is a problem because sometimes his changes are wrong, and you guys don't realize that. You'll have no way of knowing.
Can you go back to chapter 29? There's only 2 verses in Robert R.H. Charles' version. Right there. See, I don't have nothing like smells like rubbish. That's not in my version.
And there I saw the tree of judgment, the smell of rubbish. Let's see here.
Yeah, and then it compares rubbish to frankincense and myrrh.
Let's see. And there I saw its tree looked like that of frankincense and myrrh.
I find that strange.
And this is.
I mean, those are 2 of the most used fragrances in Judaism. In worship, according to them, it was used in temple offerings, and this compares it to something bad.
A. Let's see A. This rendition of the Ethiopian, following A closely, may be wrong. The text is awkward. Charles, following Beer and Praetorius, and partially in accordance with the Greek, has suggested the emendation of the text to read, I saw aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh, and the trees also were similar to the almond tree. Or maybe that's a different. Maybe G right here is Ethiopian G.
Entirely different. Go back up and read, and let me take a look at that, please, right there.
Tree of Judgment, the smell of rubbish. Yeah, so there's some.
Judgment is missing, and also the smell of rubbish is missing.
Well, it's not missing. It's a different translation. It's a different words in place of each other. So
That whole is missing right there in mine. The only thing I have is, yeah.
Yours is the same thing, except it has different words there. So it's right here. And there I saw aromatic trees. That corresponds with Tree of Judgment. Okay. Then exhaling the fragrance. Exhaling the fragrance. The other one says the smell of rubbish. So of rubbish corresponds with exhaling. As R.H. Charles says, exhaling from the Greek, Ethiopian says pleon, not exhaling. This is exhaling, and this apparently is rubbish or something. So it's a different word that's in the place of it. That's the reason why it reads so differently. Let me see. All right, and then oh yeah, we already went through that. So now I'm gonna just check to see if there's any final important variants here, and we're gonna be about to end this teaching, but let me see. Let's see here. Oh, let's see. O for 32. And I said one manuscript says burning instead of I said. That's strange. So sometimes the manuscripts have errors, you know.
And that could have a lot to do, you know, when they were passed down the scrolls could have been damaged, smudged, smeared, whatever, and they did the best they could back then, because Enoch is super old, and when it was passed down hands, you know, they used materials like pounded out papyrus and no telling what else. But I'm sure it was a really tough job when these things got old to write it down again without making some sort of confusion errors.
Right. Well, what helps is there's a lot of manuscripts of Ethiopian, so we can compare the differences. You know, so let's see.
Well, by the time the Ethiopians came around, this was already an ancient document. It goes all the way back to Enoch's days. I mean, that document went through the Ark of Noah and passed down to Abraham in Babylon, and Abraham gave it to, most likely, ended up in the hands of the Egyptians, who went to the Israelites, who went to Egypt, and then it got into the hands of Moses, and then finally got its way over to the Ethiopians, no telling how long, possibly even the
basically, according to Second Esdras, all the scriptures were restored by Ezra, so we can date the scriptures reliably, a reliable copy to the 5th century BC or 6th century BC. So that would include Enoch, and so that has a much less time. So Enoch was translated into Aramaic in the early centuries BC, And then probably around the 1st century, it was translated into Greek. And around that time, a little bit later, in the early centuries AD, it was probably translated into Latin as well. Then, later on, something like 5th century AD, or even later, maybe closer to the 10th century, eventually it was translated into Ethiopian from the Greek. And it's also possible some of the writings of the Apocrypha were translated for Ethiopian. It was Greek, translated into Egyptian, Coptic that is, translated into Arabic, Arabic translated into Ethiopian. So there's a huge separation of languages sometimes. But the Enoch text was probably translated from a good Greek copy, and the Greek was probably made sometime around the 1st century BC, roughly, I would guess. Let me see.
Well, the Ethiopian version, I'm sure that got over to the Ethiopians way before the Greeks got a hold of their translations, because John is the one who supposedly went to visit Ethiopia, and most likely he left this document, this copy, in the Messiah's day, around 33 CE, or somewhere in between.
Possibly, but there's the Ethiopian. There's 2 times when the Ethiopians kind of accepted the Messiah. The first was in the 1st century, but they didn't really fully accept him as like a whole nation until many centuries later. It was more like the 5th century or something. Let me see. So there is one other thing I want to say before I read one final thing for you guys. What was it? Let's see. Well, okay, well, I'll read this. It says, "When I saw, I blessed, and I shall always bless the Lord of glory, who performed great and blessed miracles, in order that he may manifest his great deeds to his angels, the winds, and to the people, so that they might praise the effect of all his creation, so that they might see the effect of his power and praise him in respect to the great work of his hands and bless him forever." E says, okay, manuscript B, to the souls of men. C says to the souls and to the people. Winds sometimes is the same word as spirits in Hebrew. Winds and spirits. So that's why it translates it winds here and spirits in the other one. It was where was it that I wanted to show you guys? It was like right around here. Oh yeah, the beast thing. Basically, this I strongly encourage you guys to take into consideration the authenticity of 2nd Enoch. I believe that's actually scripture, but it's been corrupted much worse than Book of Enoch. But so 2nd Enoch corresponds a lot with what we see here. He's being shown the heavens. He's shown the geography, the stars, how they work, the sun, and he's also shown animals too. And so I think that kind of corresponds here with what he's saying.
But 2nd Enoch was not found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, was it?
Right, correct. Not in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Is it found in the Ethiopian Bible?
No, it's not in Ethiopian as well. It's in Slavonic.
Okay.
But there's certain correspondences which suggest that 2nd Enoch is derived from an authentic original, far removed, but our copies are corrupt a lot, but there are certain features of it which are very authentic and match what Book of Enoch says. So I'm just going to conclude our study. I'm going to read the Aramaic fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls to you guys, and I'll give you a chance to say any final thoughts or questions. So right here, this is 4Q204. You see, any words in brackets is not found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They reconstructed that. If it's not in the brackets, that's what was actually found in the fragment in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So column 12 of this particular fragment, it says, "Beyond them I went away far." And then, "Which there were sweet-smelling reeds," and then the aromatic cinnamon, and beyond valleys. Then it goes to the next thing right here. And in those two I saw trees from which issued, at the end of the Galbanum word, beyond these mountains I was shown mountain. And then way over here, all the trees full of, which is comparable to the bark of the owl. And then the rest of the word, it doesn't finish. And then we go down here, fragrant aroma when these barks are ground. Towards the northeast of them, I was shown mountains. And then it goes in the next column. Doors open, their number. Then, from there I was conveyed to the south of the ends. And then here, for the south wind, for the dew and the rain. And then it continues here. I was shown 3 doors, and then of the heaven. And so it ends there for that fragment. Then we go to 4Q, let's see, .205. He showed me mountains, the ground between. Okay, no, so 25 in front of him, who prepares these things. Center of earth, which there were trees from underneath. So this is like a chapter 25, 26, around right here. And then we see, then this and between them a deep ravine. And then we've got another mountain, then between them and ravine. And then I was amazed at mountains, blessed completely. And then that was fragment 1, column 2. And then there should be 1 or 2 more. 4Q206 says right here, 1, this is from chapter 28, verse 3, it starts, 1, which flowed towards the northeast, taking the water and the dew to wait, hold on. Nope, sorry, all of that is missing. Okay, it's in brackets. Okay, so here, I went to place, to the east, location, gave off, and then right here we've got it full, and then in trees, then there's their bark is ground, then beyond these, towards the northeast of them, I was shown other mountains. Choice nard, mastic, cardamom, pepper. From there I went on, east of all those mountains, far from them, to the east of the land. Passed on the Red Sea, and I moved very far from it. I crossed over the darkness far from it and passed on the paradise of justice or righteousness. And then fragment 4 says, and I was shown from differing and then your mother of old, and they learned that they were naked. And then the watchers, and he showed in accordance with times, and I was shown great works. And I think that's it for the Dead Sea Scroll fragments of the section we read. Alright, Yeah, I think that's it. So that's pretty much the full teaching for today. Are there any final thoughts or questions you guys would like to bring before we end this? Seems like no questions. All right. Next week, guys, we're going to be doing a teaching on. We're going to be studying the Enoch calendar, and we're going to be going through chapters 72 through 75 at least. Maybe go a little bit farther, but because it's going to be such a controversial topic, we might only be able to focus on that. So we'll try to do at least 72 to 75. Spread the word. I want this to be a big teaching. Have a lot of people gathered. I think what we gotta do is have Skype as well, so that people can join on with us here, and also through Skype, so that we can have a lot of people talking with us. All right, that's it for today. You can listen to the rest of the teaching on YouTube. It's already recorded and it's already loaded to YouTube right now. So, well, actually, not loaded yet. Right when I say stop broadcast, then it will be loaded. So, all right. See you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed the teaching, and thank you, Sean, for discussing with me your understanding.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Good night, everybody.
Peace, everybody. Saloon.